I was sick and then.
Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Laura,
Present.
Vice Mayor Landry,
Present.
Commissioner Parsons,
Present.
Commissioner Warren,
Here.
Commissioner Vasquez is absent. We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation.
I just want to say this is my fifth state, and I always consider it a privilege to be able to pray God's blessing into a city council meeting. Let's pray. Father God, we do recognize that we have a nation that says, "In God we trust." And Lord, we prove that every day by the way we act, the way we respond to situations, the way we govern. And Father, I ask that you would be with this body tonight. That, Lord, there would be visionary leaders that would see bright futures, and there would be practical realists who understand the necessity of prudence. And Father, that both groups would find common ground to govern this city and to make it the beautiful place that Liberal is. We just ask your continued blessing on us. We do thank you for the protection from some of the elements that have ravaged other parts of our nation. And we ask that you would continue to protect and keep us safe. Bless those that are here today and the words that are spoken in this room. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 1, awards, proclamations, and presentations. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 2, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Vice Mayor Landry. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 4-0, motion passes. Moving on to item number 3, the minutes.
You want separate motions, Lynn, or together?
You can just say as presented, and the agenda's fine, Ron.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the February 6, 2025 special meeting minutes and the minutes of the February 11th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 4-0, motion passes. Moving on to item number 4, items from citizens. Are there any items from citizens tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5, items from groups. Are there any items from groups tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 6, the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 4-0, motion passes. Now moving on to item number 7, ordinance number 4631, adoption of the 2024 ICC building codes.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, the ordinance before you has two main points. It corrects some layout problems with the existing Chapter 6 of City Ordinance, and at the same time, it moves us from the 2015 building codes into the 2024 ICC building code cycle. We've been, we're 10 years behind on building codes. It's time to make a jump up to the newer ones. Any questions you have?
I know I asked you the question this afternoon. I mean, can you kind of give us I know there's a million changes that are done in this, but kind of the big changes that are included in the 2024 codes over what we're doing?
The majority of the changes that would affect people around town are mostly in the International Residential Code. There is some stuff where, over the code cycles, more and more of the house has been required to be arc fault protected breakers or GFCI protected breakers, and the 24 codes do get pretty close to 75% of the house is arc fault and GFCI, which is to protect the citizens, because statistics say something like 80 to 90% of house fires are caused by arc fault problems. So it does create a little bit of a headache as they increase the reliability of the arc fault breakers, but it is set just to make homeowners safer and residents safer.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions?
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 4631, amending Chapter 6 of the City Ordinance and setting the 2024 ICC codes as the building codes for the City of Woodrow.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Landry and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 4-0, motion passes. Moving on to item number 8, ordinance number 4632, adoption of the 2024 International Fire Code.
Can I just say ditto? Mayor, Commissioners, 10 years behind would be an improvement for us. We are moving from the 2006 up to the 2024s. Some of the reasoning for that were in the 06 and the building departments in the 15 is the State Fire Marshal's Office is still in the 2006 fire code. So the last time the building department made a move, we decided we would stay so that we match the State Fire Marshal's Office. 2006 codes in 2024 seem to be a little outdated now, so we don't see a lot of movement from the state getting to move forward in their codes. So I've talked with members from the State Fire Marshal's Office. So how this will work, if we're in the 24, they're in the 6, they will still, any project that has to go to the state, they will look at that project as the 2024 code. So it will still be our code that they will use, as long as our code is equal to or more strict than theirs. If there's any conflicts there, it'll go to the more strict code, but a lot of departments around the state are leaving the 06 and getting newer and not waiting on the state anymore. So one change I want to point out, if you see in the amendments, the last one we made is in chapter 11. And that amendment, I changed it to read, I added the wording, let me get to it. When any remodel or upgrade to the occupancy results in the fire area being increased, the reason we did that is there would be multiple buildings by the way chapter 11 reads now. If you all accepted this and adopted this code and it went in place Friday, Monday morning I'd go to probably 4 or 5 businesses, tell them you have 6 months to get sprinkled. So we added the wording in here that they can stay like they are until they make any changes to their fire area. In my way of thinking, that gives them the choice then. We shouldn't punish them just because we decided we needed newer codes. So that's why that change was put into there. So, any other questions?
Well, so I'll ask the same question. So we're going up 18 years in codes. What are the major differences we're gonna see in the codes from where we are now till the new codes when they're adopted?
As I went through them both today, I had both books sitting on my desk going through them. Honestly, not a lot. I know everyone's fear when the fire code comes in is sprinklers, because that's the big one. The sprinkler code doesn't change. In fact, in one area of it, it actually makes things better. When I first started, we probably turned down, well, we didn't turn down, but due to the cost, 4 or 5 daycare centers did not open because they couldn't afford the sprinkler system that went in them. When the building department adopted the 15 building codes, Chapter 9 is the same in the building code and the fire code, so that talks about sprinklers too. An exception appeared then that daycare centers could not have to sprinkle as long as they put an exterior door into every classroom. Once we adopted those codes and started going that direction, we probably opened 4 or 5 daycares within the next year to 2 years. So really with the fire code, 2006 was 3 years after a major fire in Rhode Island to where 100 people burned up and died. So sprinklers became king. Well, sprinkle everything, sprinkle everything. Then as construction gets better, the products we're using gets better. A lot of times you'll see the fire codes relax just a little bit and give some exceptions. Let a little common sense come back into play instead of just you have to do this or you can't build it. So really this is just to catch up with, construction's different now than it was in 06, so it's pretty hard to hold people to 06 standards when the construction standards aren't 06 anymore, so. But not a lot of major changes.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance number 4632, the adoption of 2024 International Fire Code.
Second?
We have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? All in favor? All opposed? 4-0, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, resolution number 2429, the fee schedule.
Commissioners, Resolution 2429 incorporates the fees outlined in ordinance number 4631 and 4632, which were just adopted. There is also one section that corrects the fees for the golf fees. They were approved, but I didn't remove the strikeout, so I just took out the strikeouts. So they were approved last time, but I didn't correct that, so that was corrected.
I'll make a motion that we approve and adopt the resolution number 2429.
Second.
A motion by Vice Mayor Landry and a second by Commissioner Warren. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 4-0, motion passes. Moving on to item number 10, Planning and Zoning Board appointment, Jason England.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, with the resignation of Mona Lisa Arredondo in the open seat, we received one application for the open county seat. Mr. England went to the last planning and zoning meeting on February 13th, and they interviewed him, voted unanimously to recommend to you to appoint him to the vacant county seat on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. England is here tonight. If you have any questions, we would like to hear from him, or you could just take the appointment or the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission and appoint him for a term to expire December 31st of 2027.
I won't ask Jason to come up and talk to us. I will just say that, we appoint Jason to the planning board with a term to expire on December 31st, 2027.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Parsons and a second by Commissioner Warren. Any further discussion? Any from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 4-0, motion passes.
Unless you want to come up and talk, Jason.
I'm good.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Moving on to item number 11, wastewater financial plan options.
Okay, so Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, if you remember on February 6th, we held a special meeting to review historical information and formulate a financial plan to properly address the Fund 301 construction and Fund 520 wastewater cash balances. For review, the wastewater plant construction fund balance is currently sitting at a negative total with only $158,000 in remaining KDHE loan funds to advance upon. It's my duty, and I've said this before, to make sure that the Fund 301 construction fund does not sit in a negative balance for very long periods of time. It is the duty of the finance department to stay on top of that, reconcile it, and make sure that we have proper fund transfers to cover that. So basically, tonight, we are trying to address a twofold issue: to correct the construction fund situation, and then to produce cash flow into Fund 520, which is the wastewater fund. Because there is not a surplus of cash revenues in the wastewater fund, an amendment to the KDHE loan must be considered in order to cover past and final construction costs. And in order to pass underwriting, we must look at current sewer rates and fees and make adjustments accordingly. So I listed several different scenarios in your packet. I kind of wanted to give you a couple more historical pieces of information that I may not have mentioned in the previous special meeting. But from 2021 to 2023, we had our loan set up to pay $100 principal payments and around $360,000 in interest payments. It is my opinion as a finance professional that during that time frame, we should have looked at rates and adjusted accordingly so that we could have built the fund to properly address the larger payments that started in 2024. So I've given you some examples of where the wastewater fund ended the year in 2023 versus how it ended in 2024 when the full repayment of that loan started. And you can definitely see that where we were sitting is not sustainable from a revenue perspective as far as the fees and sales were concerned. So this time last year, we did pass a resolution, number 2410, that adjusted the minimum sewer rates 25% beginning April 1st, 2024, and then again 25% April 1st, 2025. This is about $4 to $5 in adjustments for the average consumer. But even then, when we did that, that is not going to produce enough revenue year over year to sustain the fund for full repayment through 2037. So that leads us to the conversation that we're at now. I've given you guys a couple of different options or scenarios. Tonight, we are just going to review those, and then you guys can give me a directive of how you wish to move forward. I did not create any resolutions or any final documents to pass, but we're just going to look at some of these options. So The first option would be assessment of a flat $10 sewer improvement fee. This is what I talked about at the special meeting, and I will just kind of go over what this would do for the fund. It would be assessed across both residential and commercial accounts and could stay in place throughout the duration of the loan repayment schedule, which ends in 2037. If approved, the fee would generate an estimated annual revenue of $852,000 and would assist the department in additional sewer infrastructure needs, with our main concern being lack of funds to address any type of catastrophic situation that could occur. If something were to happen right now, it would be of a huge concern to me of how we would fund that situation because we have not planned ahead. And we've put ourselves in a defensive situation, in my opinion. So the flat $10 sewer improvement fee could help in both of those things. It could address the cash flow. It could prepare us for the future, which I feel like would be good for the citizens of Liberal. And also, it could be discontinued at any time according to your vote. So these are not things that have to stay in place long-term. We can just review financials as we go. So that is my feeling about the $10 improvement fee. I gave another one, if we did an assessment of a flat $5 sewer improvement fee. Similar to how the $10 fee would be assessed, it would be with both residential and commercial accounts. It could stay in place throughout the duration of the loan repayment schedule. If approved, it would generate about half, obviously, of what the other one would, $426,000. It would allow us to move through the next 12 years, but with no cushion and no catastrophic planning. It would pay the loan back, and that would be it. But we would be able to survive. So that would just be the flat $5 fee. If we did, number 3, if we did a flat $5 fee with a water transfer, we would produce the $426,000 in revenue. And that would cover our debt service and basic payments that we have coming out of the account, departmental expenses. But any type of catastrophic infrastructure needs would need to come from a water department transfer. Being a finance person, I talked to Brad this morning about this. We would definitely put water transfers on more of a routine schedule and not an end-of-year fix. We would write that in to the budget in the coming years and make sure that we had those funds appropriated and the transfer allocated for. And then the other option is just water transfers as needed throughout the loan term. This method would basically shift the revenue generation from the shared customer account method to the water department solely. Routine reviews of the wastewater fund cash balance would need to be in place, and monthly transfers would need to be implemented to assist in covering regular expenses and debt service. This method does not support a standalone wastewater plant objective and places the pressure on the water fund for support, which in turn limits their abilities to address needs and also their funds in water. A lot of them are pledged to our water infrastructure loan that we also have with KDHE. But we have built that fund up quite a bit over the last couple of years to prepare for this moment in getting those water infrastructure projects done. So I attached some spreadsheets because I feel that this time last year, maybe when this was presented, we didn't give an overall financial review of what the future would look like based on the decisions that we make here. So Tim has helped me project it up here. I wanted to kind of show you some cash flow analysis of the decision that we made last year, and then the decisions that you would make tonight, the directive you would give me and what that would look like going forward. So this right now is the decisions you made last year for the 25% increases in 2024 and 2025. The yellow is where I have made real-time adjustments to the numbers, so those are actuals from those years. And then I've also, down here with the debt service, I have added in approximately what I think a loan amendment would cost to correct the construction fund. But when I flow down here to the bottom, you can see we would have ended last year with about $1.3 million in fund balance cash rollover. But if we did nothing about it today, in the next couple of years, you can see that we start to turn negative here. Okay, so that's, if we don't address an increase at all, it's not sustainable. By 2028, we would be operating in the negative, and we would stay that way pretty much for the coming years until we were able to pay the note back. So that's basically where we're currently sitting. If we did the flat $10 fee, I basically calculated what we would have from April through December here in 2025, which would be around 568,000. We have about 7,100 accounts, so I made that figure based upon that. Now, this would only be assessed to people with sewer on their account. It would not be assessed to people who do not have that service. But with the flat $10 fee, as we scroll down here, and this is including an amendment to the loan, you can see that, we're gonna we've been struggling here the last 2 years, but we start to rebuild. You can see the numbers start to increase, and then by the end of the loan, we're sitting with enough money after repayment to plan for catastrophic. That is an ideal situation if that was the route you wanted to go with, but obviously we are concerned about how things impact citizens. So that's the flat $10. If we did flat $5, it's just going to be about half of that. So it's going to produce, this year it would produce 284,000. It would produce about 426,000 every year following. Again, we could discontinue at any time, but down here at the bottom, you can see we would roll about 1.1 million year over year, and we would basically, like I told you, we would be able to pay our loan without a lot of stress, but there would be no additional funds to do anything else. That makes sense. And then by the time the loan is paid for, obviously you can see we have money back because we spend about $2.8 million on that loan repayment annually. And then obviously the last one would be with the water transfer and the $5 fee. This does the same thing as a flat $10. It just shares the $10 between the customer and the water department. And it would help us the same as a $10 would. So you can see down here at the bottom, we're struggling a little bit here. It'll be that way for a couple of years because we didn't make decisions prior to this for long-term vision. But as we go along here, we're going to be able to build and have plans for the future. So I wanted to give you that visual so you could kind of see where we're currently sitting and where we could be sitting or where we need to be sitting. Do you have any questions about that before I say a couple more things?
No, ma'am.
I do feel like that these cash flow charts do help paint the picture of what's happening, and will aid you guys in making a decision and aid the public in how they view the situation. We have a wonderful facility. It's a great plan. It's state of the art, the best of its kind. But we do have to have a plan where we don't have shortfalls in revenues, can pay it back. And that's the goal. And for me, financially, I just want to make sure I've set the city up properly so that we're operating correctly. We're passing audits and we're doing a good job there. So my main goal is to properly address the construction fund and the revenue shortfall in the wastewater fund. And I feel like having a proper financial plan will benefit us as the city staff and the public in general so that our community can be healthy. We can have the infrastructure needs addressed. And then we're just planning for the future. We want to be able to repay the loan, maintain good relationships there, amend the loan so that we can correct a couple of things in construction. And like I told you in the special meeting, these things happened over the course of 10 to 12 years, most of which hardly any of us were here at those times. But we're not able to push it forward anymore because I look at this balance daily and I report on it to the leadership staff to make sure everybody's aware of where we're at. So our payment is due in March and it will deplete the fund pretty much entirely.
On a side note, I didn't want to really bring this one up at this meeting just yet, while we're still trying to schedule plans, but the payment by the city in 2017 or 2018 to build one of the new schools, have we had any further conversations on that situation?
It's my intent to have a discussion with them. We have not yet. If we were to address that with them, again, that would be helpful with the construction fund situation and would potentially, if there were some good conversations that happened, then it would take maybe that loan amendment down quite a bit or resolve the situation entirely. So I need to schedule a time and sit down with them and a lot of them were not here at the time either that these decisions were made, but it's worth a conversation, knowing that some of these things were paid for with our loan and are causing the fund to be negative.
Guess another conversation would be with Lynn. In your dealings with different city entities, would there be any kind of clawback for something that we don't know what agreement was held at that time, and it was paid for another entity, but with funds from this project?
I can tell you can look back 3 years for oral contracts and 5 years for written contracts. I don't know if there was ever anything other than a handshake on how it was done. But if you don't have anything really in writing, it's gonna be really hard to enforce. And like I said, I don't know if there is or isn't, because that was before my time as well. So I would need more information before I can give you my opinion on the issue.
Okay.
And I just want to reiterate that water, wastewater, and solid waste are what we consider enterprise funds. They are utilities. We like for them to operate as businesses and stand alone and not be dependent on other funds, property taxes, anything of that nature. So we want them to be able to cover their expenses, produce their revenue, pay back their debts on their own. If we were to make decisions with the water transfers, that would be, in my opinion, a temporary Band-Aid to get us through this rough patch that we're in and then set us on a better path for the future, so.
So I guess my question now would be, we're looking for a vote of one of the 4 wastewaters to go forward with, am I correct? So that we
Yes.
can future vote on the fact of whether we want to adapt that or not. Do we want to stop on that until we have a conversation with the school in regards to any type of recoup on that side? We brought up that subject. I mean, and I'm curious as to whether or not that's a road that we even,
So I think the only thing we could do on that situation would be agree on something now for the meeting on the 25th of next month.
Okay.
But that's the latest we can push it, because this has to be in effect by April 1st.
well, we need it because as of March, when we make that payment, it's gonna be,
Yes.
I'll
it's gonna
tell you
stand.
that, I think you said this, Scarlett, I don't want to misspeak for you, but I mean, what you guys do, you can always do something different later if circumstances change.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I wasn't here at your guys' other meeting, was it thought that maybe if you guys did a half, like a 750, and then maybe you wouldn't have to do a water transfer, or maybe that could be.
That can be
contingent on-
adjusted in any way. You guys, I just wanted to give you a couple of clear options, but you guys can tell me if you would like. I think our water system improvement fee is what, 6 1/4? 6, yeah, 6 1/4. So, these numbers are interchangeable. We can adjust. I just know that we have a twofold issue. We need to correct the construction fund and have a plan for that so that we can move forward and not have that in the negative. And then we need to properly plan because we have a cash flow situation in the sewer fund.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'd be in favor of one of those two. I mean, I don't think the 5 is gonna fix it. So, I mean, if you didn't wanna go all the way to 10, you could do the 750, and if some of this other stuff works out and helps, we always have the ability to take it back off. But we really have the immediate need to build that fund at least. I mean, I don't know how it affects the public completely, you know. I know it doesn't affect all of us. I mean, whether we pay it, it's not devastating, you know, but to some people it could be, and that may be something that we need to look at if there's people that it affects that, you know, low income, elderly, or whatever, if we make some provisions for somebody to apply for that to not be on their bill, if we qualify them for that, I would be in favor of something like that, but to me, then I would be in favor of going to the 10 and build it as quickly as you can build it, and then have talks later about whether you're gonna reduce it, but so the people that could be hurt by it, you know, like say having something available that we can discuss or qualify somebody for not having to pay that 10.
and we do have a waiver in place right now for the water fee, through Keith's department, 1 cent sales tax housing projects. And I did visit with Mayor Lara a couple of weeks ago about implementing that as well. for a possible wastewater fee. And I feel like that program and that fund could sustain that. It's the 1 cent sales tax fund is in pretty good condition. So we would just have to put that process in motion, just the same as we did the 625. So I don't foresee that as being an issue, and I agree with you. I think that we should offer that.
Okay.
Well, I think whatever we need to do, or whatever we do, the wastewater plant needs to stand on its own. I mean, we can't keep, we don't need to be borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. It needs to be able to pay for itself, and it needs to be able to sustain itself basically through the life of its, whether we do the $10, or amend that at some point down the road. I don't know where we need to be, but, at the end of that 12 years or whatever it is, you got $9 million in that fund. I don't know that you have a catastrophic event with a sewer line that's gonna cost $9 million to repair. Maybe it does, I don't know, but I think we need to make sure that it pays for itself. And I think that's the most important thing.
So I guess on that part, we do need to bring in a conversation of our wastewater numbers. There's some leakage somewhere. Now, we can't prove it and we haven't scoped it, but
We have
scoping,
scoped.
we did?
Last summer, we scoped from the old wastewater plant all the way to the new plant. And
There wasn't an issue there. But from the old wastewater plant to the city, could there be an issue
Somewhere in
there?
town, we think that there's places, right?
Well,
Possibly.
we're not sure that there wasn't some confusion in the totals when they did the numbers with the National Beef Plant and stuff, but we're not getting the volume that we thought we'd be getting at the plant. So I don't know I would think if we're losing that much water, it's coming up somewhere. So I don't, it would be hard to find it unless you just start hammering every inch of it.
Which just in the conversation with Earl's Engineering, we kind of have to do that on some of our older lines anyway, because they're reaching, 70, 60
We
years?
do that on the guys in the truck are camera lines all the time. Nathan Abel would probably be the best guy to visit with. Where would you start if you were looking for the leak in Liverpool? He'd be the guy that, he's been out there for 20+ years doing sewer lines. I just find it hard to believe that much water would show up. I think our figures might have got skewed on how many gallons we were putting in. We don't seem to be getting what we thought we were gonna get 2 years ago with our family. We were having water barely maybe took last pond, and before we had, when National Beef was on our system, we had water going all the way to the river, underneath the bridge.
Okay. Well, Ron, you were shooting for the $10 fee, and then we'll just continue to work on everything else?
I think so.
Yeah, I would agree.
You're in favor of that?
I am.
Jeff?
Jeff?
Okay. Well, you have an official consensus then to go with option number 1?
And my commitment will be, I review this daily actually, but I will give you updates as we go through this. And I feel like we're in better shape, then we will bring it back before you and address it at that time if it can be discontinued.
Okay.
Okay.
How difficult Keith will be to get some kind of hardship process in place like we were
Here's
trying
my question. Could they add to the motion to just, install the wastewater fee in the same program with the water improvement fee?
So that was my thought. Can you add that to the resolution that we do? And that way, if we ever just rescind that resolution, it goes away with it?
Well, I think that program's probably gonna be done by ordinance. I don't know how the other one was done.
There was no ordinance on any of the housing programs. They were simply put before the commission, approved with certain stipulations, and then we,
Implemented it.
So it's just a program.
I don't see any issue with putting it in the same resolution. It deals with the same matter, so we just would have to swipe language from the other one and have it apply to this. We don't need to recreate the wheel on it. and I can review, if you guys can throw something together with that, what's what we currently have in place for the other one.
Yeah, basically, it's just the standards that say, this is, if you meet these qualifications, then we waive the water improvement fee from your bill. People come in and apply, prove they meet the qualifications, and they take it off the bill.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be good to put in the resolution. We can have that one. So I think that's good.
Okay.
Okay. And we have a consensus to add that to the resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keith will be happy to.
So do we need a motion on this
I don't think so. We'll approve the next one.
at the next? Okay.
Yeah, and we'll pass the resolution at the next meeting.
Yeah.
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
It'll still be fine for timelines, right, Scarlett?
Yes.
Okay.
Typically, it's April 1st where we make the adjustments for the next year, so yes, that would give us time.
Okay. And we don't need a motion on this to move forward?
No, we got a consensus, we'll pass the resolution the next one.
Sounds good.
This time, I'm gonna jump ahead to item number 15, the vouchers.
I'll make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $2,324,944.40.
I second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Vice Mayor Landry. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 4-0, motion passes. At this time, I believe we will no longer have a quorum, but we will continue with the informational items. Item number 12, city staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ron.
I'll give you a couple of quick updates.
There we go.
So on the pickleball courts, you go by there, the light pole's up, 3 sides of the fence are up. We're gonna test the lights tonight to see if they need adjustment before they put the rest of the fence up. In case they have to drive their truck out on it. We'll have 2 sidewalks to port up to the court. I'm saying by April 1, the courts will be playable. Crack seals getting close to being finished. Across Pine and doing this section over here now. Won't take them very long. Street guys are good to clean up for Pancake Day, which is Tuesday. If you haven't been to the golf course, it's night and day from what it was a week ago in the clubhouse. Carpets in, floorings in, counters are in. Get a chance to drive by out there. The parks guys went through all our community buildings, redid the floors, repainted everything, built new chair and table racks inside of them. So all that's been taken care of. Everybody thinks it's summertime already, but there's still winter to come.
Speaking on the summertime, with the splash pads, do we have the fencing around most of those?
Well, the only one we're putting fencing around was the Huron one, since it was so close to the parking lot. And this one's
Pretty, yeah.
pretty deep into the park, so we're not gonna fence it. We thought we'd let it go a year, and if there's no need, then we won't fence it. And as soon as the weather cooperates and we get a consistent temperature above,
Freezing.
we'll turn the splash pad on. They'll be on way before the water parks.
Cool. Nice.
All right.
I do have a couple of just transportation-related items. So we did touch base with the Federal Railroad Administration. They did let me know today that some of the staff members that were assigned to assist with our grant were let go, and that was the reason for postponing our kickoff webinars to get that grant started. So we're awaiting word on when that's gonna be pushed back to. Hopefully, it's just a minor delay, but that's still moving forward. And then I will have the first of our, KDOT is conducting what they're calling the Southwest Kansas Highway Mobility and Expansion Study, and have an advisory group put together from people all over, really, honestly, it's western Kansas. It's not quite southwest. Salina somehow got into southwest Kansas. But this is the study that they're looking to do to really determine the long-term needs for highway expansion in our area. We know that several communities are very vocal about the expansions they would like to see and who deserves it most. And this is a third-party study that's going to look at those needs, look at the industry and agriculture use, and be able to come up with some really good proposals as to where we need to go moving forward. It's a significant expansion and investment.
Thank you. Any other city staff? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 13, the city manager's report.
Okay, so Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, I do have some updates. For the end of February, I wanted to start out by giving a shout out to Keely for her diligent work on just communications in general, but improvements to our website. If you've noticed major facelift, it's easier to navigate. Anything that you need, you can pretty much find on there. She updates it frequently, and I find it way easier to utilize, and I hope that the citizens feel the same way. She's also updated the recreation website, which needed a facelift as well. And then we have the community calendar now that's accessible through the QR code. And I think a lot of people out there will enjoy that and utilize it frequently. And we've been wanting to move towards that for quite some time. So we have that out there, very happy with that. And I believe that Mandy at the tourism department helped you a lot with that. So shout out to her as well. I told her that the other day. Again, we're excited about finalizing the renovation at Willow Tree. Brad touched on this a little bit, but thank you to Steve, both Chris's, Nick, everybody at the golf course for having vision, staying within budget, and just making it look like an overall friendly place to visit and spend your time. We want people to enjoy it and utilize it, and so we're very excited about that. With that, I've had some questions about, are you increasing fees? And this is not a huge monumental thing. It's just a couple of dollars here and there for their fees when they visit. But we want people to be out there at an affordable price. So very excited to see that open in the spring. I know citizens in Liberal are excited as well. Just a reminder that the community mural voting is open online, correct, Keely?
Yes.
And so please go out there and share your preferences. We have 3 options. Not that it would be exactly those 3 options. We might have to tweak a little bit, but please share that and communicate with us. And the goal is that we will have that up by May or June. Like, it will be this summer, so we are excited about that. I think that a tree was cut down today to probably make way for that. So we are excited about that. Angelica and I had our first meeting with IMA for the season for employee health care coverage, and that was a positive meeting. The numbers are far better than last year, so we are hoping that process is not nearly as stressful for us or our employees, and hopeful that it will be a much smoother situation this year. I did have a discussion, it was a very short discussion, with Brad and Steve this morning after leadership team about projects we have on the horizon after we complete the golf course. So we are not slowing down. I want lighting put into place on the north side of the rec center. It's very dark at night when employees are going to and from the weight room, and also our dance studio and batting cages inside. We also know that we have improvements coming for the depot. We had a grant approved for that, and we have some structural needs over there that we are addressing. And then obviously, I've said many times that I'm ready for the dog park to be rolled out. So those are things coming as well in 2025. I did sign the survey and street design contract last week for the road improvements involved in the Air Products project. So we are excited that that is in motion. We're just awaiting FAA final approval on some things, but our portion of that responsibility is moving. So I wanted you to know that. And last thing, although I can't say very much yet, I wanted to dangle a small carrot here to the public and let them know that we are working very, very hard on economic development in this community. I have said many times, I think 2025 is the year. And we are more than ready to be able to roll out several of these ideas and see them come to fruition. So several people working on this. Hopefully we can give some news here in the near future on those things. So that's all that I had.
Right. Thank you very much. Any questions? Moving on to item number 14, items from commissioners. We'll start with you, Jeff.
Okay. Thank you, staff, for all you do, and I just want to say pre-thank you to city staff that's going to help with Pancake Day. It's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, and I know that everybody will just knock it out of the park, so thank you in advance for that. That's really all I have. I'm just glad the weather's finally warming up and summer's here.
Please.
Well, thank you to all city staff as always. Scarlett, for your clarity and transparency always. The website does look great. I was messing around on it, as a matter of fact, yesterday. So it does really nice, vibrant, easy to use, much better than the old website. So great job there, Keely. Also, the mural voting, I've been watching that. That's my favorite one. I know which one it is, but it's doing well. So I'm excited for that. With some future tweaks, which is okay. I think that's great. Pancake Day, next Tuesday. Super excited about that. Looking forward to, playing my part on that day, but to all the city staff that are gonna have to set up and then tear down and the support and everything that's gonna go on. When I first moved here 11 years ago and somebody said, well, we've got, Pancake Day, I was like, what is Pancake Day? And then the more I've read about it and done the research on it, it's actually pretty amazing. So really excited for that. And yeah, the weather, super warm. Yeah, Brad, maybe it's not summer quite yet, but we do know it's giving us a taste of it. So a lot of people out there walking around. I've seen a lot of kids in the neighborhood over the last couple days, riding their bikes yesterday and playing out in the parks and stuff like that. So people just need to be careful, as, this time of year goes along. You're gonna have more people outside walking their dogs and doing what they need to do. So we just need to be careful, slow down, and just, keep your eyes out. So I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. As always, thank you to all the staff. Enjoy the fall, spring. Should be pretty nice for while it lasts. But no, on a serious note, conversations are still happening constantly for economic development. And there just seems to be I want to say, once again, I keep getting emails regarding our building department and different staff as well throughout the community that just show that there's positivity now throughout the community in what they see the city. And there's not so much that the city is here to stop something from happening. It is really, if you have an idea, please approach us. And that is, I want to say, the attitude that is kind of being brought forward now. So I'm excited to see what we have this year. I'm excited to see what comes the next at least 3 years of my term, and just for the future. It's a good time to be here. And once again, now that Scarlett is full bore into this role, she gets to see every one of those meetings, and they're happening every week, every other week. And some of the times they're different projects. So it's exciting to see where we're going to be. That's all I got. We already did the vouchers, so we are adjourned. Thank you all.